coach not only had a fever and body aches, but he also had a dry cough and he was having difficulty breathing. Now, despite all of the signs pointing to coronavirus, he was repeatedly told by doctors and health departments that he either didn't need to be tested or that he couldn't be tested because of a lack of kits. And it wasn't until just a few days ago when he showed up at a hospital with makeshift tents set up in a parking lot that doctors finally agreed, yes, he did need to be tested. So he documented his struggle and his frustrations on the website, 2fab.com. And Lee Turnbull is joining us now to tell us his story. Lee, thank you so much for joining us. And just tell us now, I know that you've gotten past the worst of it, but tell us how you're feeling.
I'm feeling a lot better. I still have a really hard time breathing, as opposed to a few days ago, though. I mean, it was really bad. You know, it's been 16 days for me now with the symptoms, and kind of halfway through, between 5 and 9, 10 days, you know, it was really quite scary, but, you know, it definitely got to the point where I had to go to the emergency room because there seemed to be no other way.
Because you couldn't breathe, right? I mean, it's very scary to not be able to breathe. So just walk us through how all of this played out. How did it start? What did you think it might be when it started? And then just walk us through what happened after that.
Sure. So on Monday the 9th, I started with a really, really dry cough. I just previously coached 2 games with my wonderful girls on the Saturday and held a mass tryout on the Sunday. So my wife said to me, you know, maybe you've just damaged your voice, shouting on the sidelines, which I kind of thought it was. Later that evening, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you know, I got really bad chills, was incredibly fatigued. The cough had gotten so bad that, I mean, and maybe you can tell right now, it's just, you know, talking, I'm a wee bit constricted. The cough had got so bad that kind of my chest felt like it was on fire. And then the shortness of breath is when it really became worrisome. You know, it got to the point on Friday where I said to the missus that, you know, we've definitely got to go to the emergency room. Well, that was actually on the Monday. But on the Friday through the Monday, you know, I had a real hard time actually trying to get tested through the health department and through my doctor.
Yeah. So tell us about that. Was it you who first said, clearly I need to be tested, I'm exhibiting all of these signs? How did the testing try start?
Yes, so, I mean, I waited a few days because obviously I'm aware that the hospitals may be, you know, there may be a huge amount of people going to the hospital, so I just wanted to wait it out a wee bit. But I spoke to my doctor on the Friday. Well, I spoke to the health department first, and they said, call your doctor. I spoke to the doctor. They were fairly dismissive. They told me that I didn't have it and that it's most probably just the flu and that I should call the health department again. Spoke to the health department again. They said in order to get tested, I needed to get an okay from the doctor. Called the doctor again. They said that wasn't the case and they didn't have any tests. I eventually spoke to my doctor after persisting, and he was pretty blasé about it. He told me I didn't have the coronavirus, I just had the flu. He prescribed me a whole bunch of medication.
Without testing you for the flu?
Without testing me for anything. He gave me a whole bunch of medication, no test. He told me that I did just have the flu and that I will be okay in 72 hours, and that he said that the coronavirus itself hasn't killed anybody yet. It's just the other symptoms, which I thought was a bit of a bold statement on his part. So I waited, obviously, those 72 hours, and things have just gotten worse. You know, my fatigue and the lack of breathing was the real concern to me. Like, not being able to breathe is never fun. And so came Monday, I went through the same hoopla, called the health department over and over again, called my doctor. My doctor just, with the receptionist at the doctor's, was, you know, very just throwing away what I was saying. And it had gotten to the point I'd actually been emailing and on Facebook trying to contact the Long Beach mayor, and I wasn't getting much response there either. So it just got to the point where I said to the wife, we need to get to the hospital because the breathing was so difficult.
And that's where you were tested? With the test?
Yes, I arrived at Long Beach Memorial. The scenes, I think I gave you guys some videos and pictures, but the scenes were straight out of, one of those zombie apocalypse movies. There was kind of tents and nurses in biohazard suits, and I will say the nurses there were absolutely wonderful. They were kind, they were comforting, and funnily enough, I'd been met with such a blasé attitude towards my symptoms up until then. I'd actually thought that they would just tell me to go home and that it's nothing. I almost kind of started believing that narrative. But I was surprised by their urgency in how I was feeling, in how I was rather. They kind of radioed in that they were concerned about my lung functionality, and they whisked me towards another kind of biohazard-looking tent.
And Lee, we are so happy that they took what you were saying seriously. And I have to say, Lee Turnbull, I think it's time for a new primary care physician.
Possibly beyond. Possibly.